Secondly, authentication of the users. Today, if you go in the physical world, when you put a piece of your signature, any piece of paper, he opens up his computer or he opens up some sort of block where he compares your signature. For example, today most of the banks are computerized. They scan your physical signature and store it in the computer. So when you present a check to him, the cashier looks at it. He goes to your account number and sees that and compares your physical signature to the scanned signature of yours, and he'll only process it up. Because recently my friend took a check from a village and he went to Bombay, and the bank refused because his signature is not on the computer. Because some of the banks, in fact, it happens to State Bank of India, some of the banks are not completely scanned all the signature. So those people who get the checks with the unscanned signature will have a problem. But whatever may be it, you need to have that comparison. Authentication of the end user is essential for you to perform. Data integrity of e-banking, because you can see that CWC, what happened, you can always add bits and data. 1,000 rupees can become 10,000 rupees, and 10,000 rupees go 1 lakh rupees, or 1 lakh rupees become 10 rupees also. It's possible to do that. Because in internet, in cyberspace, we have fantastic technology called cut and paste. Everything is original. You take any document, you make a modification to it, and paste it somewhere else, and it becomes original document. Because in the cyberspace, everything is original. We don't have original and copy. Only in the physical space, we have original and copy. In the cyberspace, we don't have original. Everything is original. Everything is being generated by the computer. So cut and paste technology, people can easily modify, and you cannot verify which is original, which is not. So you need to make the integrity of the data is very, very essential so that somebody do not change. For example, the Supreme Court comes with a judgment. The judgment, somebody is negative, he makes it positive. So it should not happen. So they use digital signature to publish the judgments issued by the Supreme Court of India using a digital signature. That's another thing which so integrity of the data becomes very, very essential. Non-repudiation. Without non-repudiation, no commercial sector is going to accept. Because anytime, every time, we can always say deny. It's not my transaction. So it's very essential for us, non-repudiation to be a fundamental factor which has to be ensured, which has to be implemented very strongly for us to perform the transaction. So the non-repudiation and accountability of e-banking transactions, online fraud, phishing, virus, MTM, Trojan accounts, all those things which my colleague Mr. Bayan talked about it in the afternoon. We have all those problems which comes when you're trying to do the financial transaction, which is major problems which you come across. Rising insurance costs due to the increasing this thing. Somehow in India we don't have that major cases, but there are cases which are not known, but quite a few banks have fallen into that particular trap, so it creates certain problems to them, etc. Cost of legal discovery is huge with the paper-based systems, and whereas online transaction liability lies with the bank only. If I can prove that it's not done by me, you have to bear the cost. The banks has to take it up, whatever. But in India, very interesting. When you use ATM transactions, somebody does that. Suppose you are not physically present. The bank deny, you have done it. You went to Connaught Place and transacted the party. It happened to me once. Very interestingly, I opened a bank account in one of the private banks. I won't name the bank, whichever it is there. So, for certain purpose, I opened that particular banking account, and they gave me the account number and etc. Subsequently, they sent me the ATM card to my house. I happens to be not there in the house. My house was locked. So the ATM card went back to the bank. I forgot about it. I didn't know that I got a card. So after 1 year, suddenly the bank writes a letter to me. Your bank account is zero. You have to minimum 1,000 rupees in your bank account. Please pay that money immediately. Then I asked the bank, when did you take the money? I said, no, you took the money from the Connaught Place branch in such and such a time using your ATM card. I said, I didn't use the ATM. No, sir, you used the card. It's your responsibility. Luckily, what happened was that I happens to have a letter from the bank saying that you have not taken the ATM card. You have to pay 100 rupees to get your ATM card. And I happens to keep that particular letter with me. And I told the bank, fine, you may see that. I will take you to the court. Here is a letter from you for them. Then only they will backtrack. Otherwise, the onus is on you to prove that it is you that you have not used it. It's not the bank. Bank say you have done it. You go and pay the money to me. That's very, very important. So ATM transactions are quite dicey. You be careful on the particular area. This is what it is. So what we have is authentication of the messages sent by the legitimate users. Whether it is a particular message comes to the bank, you have to make sure it is he authenticated. The message has not been modified. Integrity is to be maintained. Confidentiality of the message. This is one of the most wonderful thing which has to be. The message has irrevocable encryption, therefore inaccessible to third party, because we can do the encryption methodology of the particular thing. And finally, the non-repudiation. These are the fundamental factors of the digital signature which you use in this country. Did I miss it? Okay, this. Now let us look at the digital signature in the 4 major segments. Those who are in the banking sector, we all belong to the retail sector. Retail internet banking users, we are all there, which we do day-to-day transactions. Then corporate internet banking users. Then online mandates and account origination process. And finally, secure, authentic inter-office email communication. These are the 4 parts of transactions which are usually performed by a bank. There may be others, but in general, these are the 4 things which you have. The first is user conventional user ID, passwords. Using these for internet banking, we have the password which you used to maintain. I think still you maintain that particular thing. The password is to be maintained, and it has to be modified every 15 days, etc. That's what it is. And sometimes it's a capital letter, small letter, alphabet letter, no father's name, mother's name, all those processes which has to be done. High-value transactions are not permitted on a retail banking account which you are operating it. Vulnerable to other attacks, online environment, it's very easy to phish, to get the particular transactions to be there. And accounts are not targeted by others. Usually non-resident accounts are not targeted by the user. Prone to attacks due to lack of awareness and online security threats. Most of the users which use the internet banking have no idea. They cannot compare whether the website they're accessing is the original website or that particular bank or somebody else. This is very, very important to notice that. Most of us do not recognize. We see that. It looks alike, so we go ahead and paste it. In fact, quite a few banks has this particular thing hacked up, modified, and the phishing act has taken place considerably. Non-repudiation is not ensured in the present technology. Am I mixing some pages? Okay, that is what it is. What digital signature does is, it basically 2-factor authentication, which we do that. DSC based, when you try to use digitally signed particular thing, it first asks you to activate your digital certificate. Basically, you have stored your digital certificate in a crypto token or one of the class 2 or class 3 certificate. You have to use biometrics or a PIN number to activate your digital certificate device. Then only it does the processing. So the 2-factor authentication, biometric or a PIN number, which is used, that means what I know or what I have. One of the 2 factors which are being used to activate your digital certificates in the PIN into the crypto token or crypto card or a crypto device, whatever you're using it. And then comes the digital signature. And the digital signature, the content is sent to the particular digital signature, and the signing ceremony is performed in that particular device. Remember, it is not performed on your computer or a laptop or anyone. The signing ceremony takes place in that crypto token, and then content is forwarded back to your system to be sent to anywhere else. That's what happens. High-value transactions can be converted because of the high level of security which we are providing, encryption technology which we are providing. So it doesn't make a difference whether you transfer 10 rupees or 10 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupees. It can be easily permitted. No problems will take place. That's what it is. Highly resistant to online fraud because the whole thing is encrypted. Even if you change a comma or full stop on the transactions, if somebody hacks into that particular message and changes a content, either comma or full stop, the whole message will be basically can be easily be identified because when you try to compare, when you try to validate the signature which you have pointed, the computer will find out this is not exactly the same because your hashing will differ. Obviously, once the hashing differs, the encrypted message, which is nothing but the digital signature, becomes different. So very easy to identify if there are any changes has taken place on the messages. Even a comma and full stop will make a lot of difference in this particular area. Then second, liability of production is non-repudiation is ensured because now the liability is or non-repudiation is ensured. So banks can very easily accept the particular process. And finally, it is legally valid. As I said, the information technology blesses you to perform this transaction using the digital signature. So legally permitted, and you can use it. And these are permitted only recognized certifying authorities. Now look at the corporate internet users. Option is secure internet banking login, access through digital signature, acceptable level, not high among the customers. What I find is that when we try to go to that, in fact, one of the banks, I had private banks, I had a discussion with their chief security officer, information security officer. I asked him, what is the process? We have fantastic firewalls, protection detection systems, etc., etc. But what do you do for the content integrity of those things? No, we have the password and user numbers. That doesn't really give you the protection, security, what you're looking for on the transactions. You need to look at it. When we use the digital signatures, and secondly, when also told me that my bigger customers, like Ambani's and others, with huge customers are there who do a lot of transactions, they do not like to use your digital signatures because it's very complicated. I said, what is the complexity of using a digital signature? No, he has to be trained how to use it. Has he not been trained how to use a mobile phone when he buys a new mobile phone? What are the features of a mobile phone? You should know where to press a button to make a call, to check out what the missed calls are there, what the address book is there. You tell him how to teach that. So similarly, when you're using a digital signature token, you need to train him how to use it up. It's nothing more than putting the thing on a whatever drive which you are trying to use it up and tell him how to use the PIN number and the bingo, it goes. It's a very simple, like using what is it called, a remote for a television concern. So it's not complicated, but people make it complex and complicated. Digital signature is a very, very complicated technology and requires a heavy training. It's not true. It's not, absolutely not true. It can be used in a matter of 5 minutes to use your internet account using the digital signatures. And if we can do that, and secondly, the factor which he says it, behind the customers, we use what is called validation, verification process which you follow. Because we do not use class 3 certificate unless we physically verify that particular person. Like a passport is concerned, he has to come to your house, verify you before he issues a passport. Similarly here, when you use a class 3 certificate, the certifying authority representative has to go and verify your address, your identity, then only he can give the class 3 certificate. He said, none of my customers are going to come and get to be verified. I said, you are physically going there to give him the certificate, so he can as well verify that particular process. It's not complicated. But somehow the inhibition of the banking sector to use the digital certificate and all funny reasons which you come across. But otherwise, it gives you most secure and easiest way to perform the transaction in the cyberspace. There is a two-factor authentication, securely established. Physical authorization is not required because you put it